Hey guys, so I'm going to be hopefully uploading a bunch of Clan Wars replays. What I want to try to do with these is just give people a reference for some strats that they can start running. I feel like there are a lot of young up-and-coming callers who are starting to reach out for more and more advice and strats. And so I want to start giving people some resources where they can just kind of copy-paste some strats and kind of make them their own. One of the best ways I learned when I started to learn to call were YouTube channels like Parky, and one of the first strats I ever ran was really just a copy-pasted Parky strat. So I want to start giving that to young callers as a reference with some more updated material so that you guys can start, building up your own repertoire. And that's basically what this series is going to be about. So this first game is going to be a long one. But basically, it's just how to break an Abbey turtle. So this isn't some, really unique or special strat. Most of this is just how to do it in game with what you have. But basically, the strat just starts out. We got most of our stuff over on the 1-2 line. We got a bit of a force going to the Abbey at the center, which is really important for control on this map. We got double RD because it's Abbey. We're going up against Kanto in this game, as you can see. And we know they're on defense. So being that we know they're on defense, there was a reasonable chance they were, even if they weren't going to turtle, they were going to play defensively. So double RD is going to be to our benefit. Now, obviously, as I stated at the start of this video, this is going to be about how to break an Abbey turtle. Spoiler, they turtle. And one of the most important things in breaking a turtle is recognizing it quickly. And I could say at this point, we've already really recognized it. We're pretty sure it's at H3. We're going to verify that. You're going to see the 907 kind of link up with me. We're going to clear out the 8-9 line. We've rotated already over to the 1-2 line just to be on the safe side for the time being. Who knows, maybe there's a bunch of tanks over here. But with the E3, a tank as turtly and defensive as an E3 spotted over at H2, with the presence that we have in the mid and how we really haven't spotted anything there, it really is signifying to us, being that Kanto's on defense, that we should really be prepping for a turtle break here. So right now what we're doing is what you want to do against really any turtle. You want to take map control. And really this applies to every game, but especially turtles, because it's especially easy in turtles. When you're up against a clan that's turtling, they've inherently given you an incredible amount of map control. Turtling, the biggest downside to doing it is that you're really only in one part of the map and you're very stagnant. You can't maintain or shift to take control over other parts of the map once the turtle is started. So what you're going to see us do is clear out the 8-9 line, and then once we've cleared it out, begin to utilize this map control that we've grabbed. So I'm going to grab a bit of spotting. One of our already was actually pre-aimed on that location there to begin with, because it's a very common spot, and we knew I was about to make that passing, so it's a very good tap on their part. But basically, and then there's a Type 5 lane there. I want to interrupt myself real quick to talk about this Type 5 position. The best way to deal with it is to ignore it. There's really not a lot you can do about it. You want to start working out other tanks. It'll be like the last thing you take care of in a game. If they make mistakes and you can pick it early, awesome. If not, oh well, deprive it of shots. It really is only there for cap resets. So it's there to deprive you of the ability to try to cap them out. So, we know what we have to do now. They've deprived us of our ability to do that. What we want to do now is move with that understanding. So now that we've taken the 8-9 line, you'll see the 53-55 is rotating. We have all this map control. What we want to do is get some separation out of our artillery pieces. The further they are apart, the more angles you take away. This is always something you want to do whenever you're running multiple artillery, because it takes away safe locations. It takes away spots that you can hide. With someone at, our T92 up at like that B1A1 kind of location, and our 53-55 rotating over more to the 8-9 line side, you're going to see him come further and further south as this game progresses. It takes away spots where you could hide hide up against a wall that's super high and take away the shots of the 92, because now, that wall, it might be between you and the T92, but it's not going to be between you and the other artillery that we've brought. So about 5 minutes have passed, and we've actually done a bit of damage. You just haven't really seen it. Our artillery's been doing some blind firing. please feel free to ignore our failed attempts at this boost. It really isn't super important, just mostly embarrassing that I can't do that correctly. But basically, our artillery's been dumping blind shots in this whole game, because we know where they are. We haven't spotted them, but there's only one place they can be. You've seen it, I've seen it, it's an H3 turtle. The majority of their tanks are going to be up there. It's a very, very easy thing to recognize, so our artillery's been dumping some blind shots into that to get some damage out. So this is what we've set up to do. We've set up to break this kind of turtle. So what we're going to start doing now is trying to get a bit more vision. One of the things with turtles like this that you want to do is you want to be really patient. There's no reason to try to win this game super quickly. They're in that back corner. They're not going anywhere. If they try to go somewhere, it's a much easier win for us. We've already set up to punish them leaving the locations they are at. So what we want to do now is just sit back and give ourselves some time to get some damage out. So that's really what you're going to see happen here. Getting some spots, artillery's, letting us know what they're aiming at, letting us know what they're trying to hit. Already also having that top-down view is going to be really key. You're going to see me starting to do some blind fire here shortly. Not going to happen quite yet, but you want to talk to each other. If you're a tank like this, like myself in this bat chat, you want to communicate to your arty if they've taken a blind shot and they've hit something, because it's going to pop up in your spotted. So you want to let them know if they're doing splash damage and how much. On the other side of that, if you start taking blind shots, arty can let you know if you're hitting something. Because they've got this top-down view, they can see where that shot is disappearing or if it's bouncing. So that's basically what we're seeing right now. We're getting some lights. The mice and the IS-7s are doing some pokes. I'm getting some spots when people are in the H3 kind of location, are getting antsy, and they're backing out from the location. The bat is spotting them. You can see that I do have vision on some of those spots. And basically, we're just understanding that this is going to be a long game. That's okay. We want to just let our artillery, let our support tanks like the STRV and these kind of snipey, damage farming positions do as much damage as they can before we have to push in. So we know we have time. They're not going anywhere. We don't need to push in. Let's get as much damage onto these tanks before we have to push in towards the end of this game. There's not really a whole lot else to explain. I'm going to end up spotting this badger. So these are when I'm going to start taking blind shots. So clearly he's still lit now. I'm going to take my first couple of shots. The first one's going to be a track. The second one's going to disappear into the void. And you're going to see him disappear before I take that third shot. And right now what's happening is Dan in the T-92, he's gotten above view of this. And he's letting me know that I'm hitting all of these shots. So I'm going to finish dumping that clip. So that's something you really want to encourage with your players. Good communication is going to allow you to get that much extra damage out. So I'm moving back into my bush where I can go back to spotting while I'm clipping. But this is going to continue for the next several minutes. You're going to see me back out. You're going to see me take lots of blind shots. And I'm comfortable doing this because my artillery is communicating to me that I'm hitting these shots. Every now and again, RNG is going to put them in the dirt, or they're going to bounce. But they're letting me know that they're on target, and they're letting me know when they're not, which is important so that I'm doing effective damage. And real quick, it's a sign of a really good Clan Wars artillery player when they are able to effectively communicate this stuff. Dan in the T-92 did a phenomenal job this game of letting us know when these shots were hitting and when they weren't, and communicating how much blind damage he was doing when he was hitting tanks. So we have a very firm grasp of how much we've actually been able to do this game. So obviously, since that tank was last spotted, I managed to get some blind shots on him. I was comfortable knowing I was doing that damage because Dan was able to communicate that to me. So, breaking turtles can be boring. There's really no other way to do it, and that's actually a challenge that's difficult to overcome, because one of the most important things is you can't let your players poke away their HP. You can't let your players, like you can see Fancy getting lit there momentarily. He actually moved into my render. He's still on all of his HP. That's incredibly important that your players understand that that's something they need to do. They need to be holding onto that HP, because what you're doing right now is you're lowering their HP compared to yours, because you have to pay a toll when you push into these guys. That's a great blind shot by Extra, picks up a tank. That picking up tanks is always important, and that's less guns, less damage when you have to push in. But basically, you know, if your players are bleeding HP while you're bleeding them, it's a neutral. You know, you're not going to win when you have to push in. Your players have to know that they can't afford to do that, that why you're taking all of this time is to enable yourself to have an HP lead going into this push, and that's not going to happen. So now we're finally calling this push. It's 4 minutes, 20 seconds. See the IS-7s, 57s moving in, the mice and the IS-7s moving up at top. And we've actually already talked about how we wanted to do this push. We communicated that these guys were going to push it on the low, the guys in the mid were going to push it on the low, and the guys who are on the 1-2 line are going to push up and ignore those E3s. We identified a group that we wanted to push into, and now we're working on accomplishing that. So, and what this does is it gives you guys time to prep to know what they want to accomplish. So I don't back out of this bush and I get spotted. I'm going to take some damage to it, which is unfortunate and a bit of bad play by me. But basically, we're getting some really good focus here, and we're picking up some tanks. And there's this isolated group that everyone is just dumping shots into right now. And we're getting these tanks really quickly because we're able to focus out tanks that we've already done damage to. A lot of these tanks were mid HP when we pushed in. So you're seeing the score really shift into our favor rather quickly, and that's because there are all these initial tanks to focus. And then on top of that, we didn't take any damage. It's very difficult for them to focus out tanks. No one's taken any damage. Everyone's played very, very well. And even though the emphasis is on us to try to push in, we're able to do a very effective job of getting in, taking damage and dishing out damage and focusing out tanks. And so this really starts to steamroll into a very obvious win for us. And we didn't push until about 4 minutes and 20 seconds because that's about how long we thought it would take for us to do the damage that we had to do. That's about how long, that 4-minute 20-second mark where we start to push, that's about how long we thought we needed to push this team out. And generally you want to give yourself about 4 or 5 minutes to push a team out, assuming you've done an okay amount of damage to them. That's about how long it's going to take to kill a full 15-man tier 10 team. If you've done a lot of damage, if you picked a lot of tanks towards, when you're breaking a turtle, then you don't have to push that quickly. You can wait a little longer. But generally, that's that 4 to 5 minute mark is what you want to look at. So our Sturv has really been hampering this Type 5's ability to do anything. He's been putting some good shots in. But again, the Type 5, I said this at the start of the game, we ignored him. We just made him useless. He was one less tank that they had. He wasn't really capable of influencing this game. We just focused the tanks around him. The same with this Kronwagen. We really couldn't take it out. We accepted that. We worked on the tanks that we could. And this is a very obvious win for us at this point. So we're just going to pile some tanks on, force them to try to poke up and over into us. The Type 5 can reset all he wants. He's not going to reload quickly enough, and we're going to be able to cap out this game fairly easily. And that's pretty much this game. I'll accelerate this just so we can see the end real quick. But we pick the Kron, and then we actually don't even get the Type 5, I don't believe. Yeah, we just cap out. And there's about 50 seconds left on the board. And that's our game. And so the last thing I want to say before I tab out of this, you can see I did 2,800. I don't have the after credit report for this replay, but I ended up doing about 4,400. I did about, more than that. I did about 2.2k blind. And that's in large part thanks to the communication. So that's what you want to do to kind of break a turtle on Abbey. And that's that.